Welcome to DU Digimon.
Hello and welcome to DU Digimon and welcome to my face. Yes, my first time with my face on camera on the channel. You lucky lot, you. Bask in the resplendent visage of my face and despair. Yeah, I fancy doing a little face reveal for this one, guys. Probably should have done that on the 100 subscriber kind of special that we never did, or the 200 subscriber channel special that we never did. But here we are. Here's my face, and there's a special reason why I've got my face. You'll notice that today, normally we would have a match come out today. However, we decided, due to life being very busy, we've just gotten Jank Tank 4 out last week. And that was a lot of match editing. Dan, bless him, has taken this week off. He's back to editing for videos next week. And I myself, I wanted to have some easier videos to edit this week, just to kind of give myself a little bit of a break. But we are looking at a Mirage Galgamon list. Why are we looking at a Mirage Galgamon list? We've already got a Mirage Galgamon profile on the channel. Well, repeats are sometimes going to be a thing, but we're not looking at this as a profile in of itself. No, this is a player profile. So this is a little idea I had after watching a video by Team Deathslinger. Cheeky subscription coming your way, mate, as a way of thank you for this little idea. But I wanted to kind of give a little like a profile for each of our different players within DU Digimon, so you guys have a better idea of kind of who we are, what we're about, how long we've been playing the game. So starting off with me, because I'm the one that edits the most, so therefore here I am. I've been playing Digimon now since the end of BT9 going into good old BT10. So the first deck I built was Greymon. Greymon is my favourite Digimon line. Black War Greymon specifically being my favourite Digimon, War Greymon being a close second. You know, love to the boys. I'm the biggest Greymon stan in the group. Before playing Digimon, I played Yu-Gi-Oh! For a number of years. Fell out of love with it during, if you know your Yu-Gi-Oh! The Kashtira format. Need I say more? But here I am in Digimon, now loving it so much that I'm talking about it on the internet 3 times a week. So here we are. You know, so I wanted to give... This is essentially a little insight into each of the players, what we're currently playing at the moment, and what's going on. Starting, of course, with me, and so we'll be looking at all the decks I'm playing. And this is my current Mirage Galgamon list. Now, obviously, BT16 is just around the corner. I could have done a updated list for BT16 with the new Galgamon. However, I haven't decided yet what my full ratios are going to be for BT16. So this is currently what I'm playing in BT15. You'll notice all the usual suspects. You've got your BT11 Mirage Galgamon, you've got your 4 copies of Betamon for the jamming, 4 copies of the EX4 Galmon for that both players draw a card and the memory gaining. One thing that I thought was an interesting tech in this is a Shroud Mon Ace. It's not come up very much in testing, and it probably won't. But when it does come up, it's really cool. So, you know, we have a blocker out with our Mac Galgamon already. Already got DP boost and stuff like that. This bounces stuff to hand. And in theory, I've not pulled it off yet, but if we blast into a Shroud Mon Ace whilst Mirage Galgamon from BT11 is on the field, then we essentially gain our memory from bouncing stuff to hand. So I think it could be a really interesting tech. I'm not missing the BT13 Mirage Galgamon at the moment. Yes, it's got the Tamer hate, but I'm finding most of the game at the moment is how you're interacting with Digimon and not the Tamers. You know, not correct for every matchup. Obviously, Red Hybrid, you want to be taking out Tamers and stuff like that. But, you know, I figured for most of the meta at the moment, you want to be getting rid of those big threats, you know, and those multitude of threats. So this is kind of what we're trying, and it's doing pretty good at the moment. Currently, this build is undefeated against other players in my own testing. It has lost, so where I'm just kind of dicking about with some cards in front of me. But this is my Mirage Galgamon list at the moment. If you want a full profile for this one, let me know. We do already have a Mirage Galgamon profile on the channel, but it's a little bit different to this one. Then going into our next build, so this is my 2-color black base Jumbo Gamemon list. So for a long time I've been playing the blue base Jumbo Gamemon one, but after trying to update it with some BT15 cards and making it a bit more source trippy, I kind of fell out of love with it. And so I decided, I had 3 copies of Deltamon just in my binder, so I thought, let's make a black base version with loads of 2 colours. You know, I really like the look of Jumbo Chess, but I don't have a lot of Chessmon cards, so this is what I ended up coming up with. It's got a lot of really interesting tricks to it. It's really fun. I mean, stupidly fun. It's such a degenerate little deck. It does loads of really tricky things. One thing to note is I'm actually thinking of taking out the Trident Arm for another copy of Laplace's Demon, as well as also getting in a 4th copy of the Titamon, just so we can keep doing more of those kind of force them to attack shenanigans. It's so dirty, especially if you've got Mega Gargamon Ace in hand, because you force them to go to Mega Gargamon Ace, suspend their stuff, block them. It's just really cool. Or you force them to go into the Jumbo Gamemon. You know, then the Titamon triggers underneath it. It's, you know, they're both spamming stuff out. It's just great. It's a really fun list. A little MVP of the deck, who I didn't realise was as good as he actually is Espimon. Espimon adds all of the blockers in the deck, so it's both of our level 6s, some of our level 10s, one of our level 3s, none of our level 5s, unfortunately, but it adds a lot of stuff in the deck. It also adds, so it's a blocker, you add either a Digimon with blocker or a tamer of any colour, which means that Keenan is actually searchable in this version, which is really, really cool. Also has a great inheritable for that draw as well. Also Heaven's Judgment. Obviously not every, this is mainly a black deck, but we've got enough Digimon that are yellow or green to pull it off. And when it does happen, I have removed 30,000 DP off of the board with that, because we've got so many colours in this. It's a really fun deck. If you want a full profile for it, let me know as well. For all of these, let me know if you want a full profile. I'll also mention along the way if there are already profiles for these lists on the channel as well. But this is my Jumbo list. Next up, this is my yellow vaccine one. This is mostly unchanged from when I did a profile on this one. Also, look out for next week. We are going to be doing another yellow vaccine profile. This time it'll be Alex's yellow vaccine profile. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of things are different with his build versus my build. My build is very much centered around the trashing aspect. We want to be trashing stuff to gain as much kind of benefits as possible, whilst also maintaining our recovery. I think the main change from, I think, the profile I did at the start of BT15 is that I was playing Magnadramon, I believe, instead of the Seraphimon. But I decided to go with Seraphimon because this deck is not about control; it's about gas. That's the way I've built it. It's very aggressive. We want to be using Kiaramon to get our jamming. And Seraphimon kind of does the same job as Kentorosmon in the build, where you're essentially doing 2 checks and you're minusing something by 7k. The other bonus of it, though, is that you're getting recovery +1 when digivolving, which is really, really cool. Revelation of Light actually will also be a different inclusion from when this deck originally appeared on the channel. That is a really cool card. You know, we don't have that many Karis in name. We literally got the 2. So at the moment we've kind of got a balance between our TKs and our Karis, but the Karis do stick on the board enough that you can use it. Also, if it does make its way into security, whether it's been there from the get-go or if we've managed to kind of put it in there with one of our effects like the Chirinmon inheritable, for example, it shits on Numamon. Numamon hates Revelation of Light. You know, there are other decks that won't care about it that much, but it's a really good kind of board wipe card. But yeah, that's my yellow list. Apologies for the red background on it. I forgot to change that. Next up is my Dino Rabbit build. My Yu-Gi-Oh player background is definitely showing with that name, but this is something that I'm working on at the moment. It's still a work in progress. This is, in fact, the list in front of us here is actually untested. Because I played last night at Casuals, and originally this list I wanted it to be more of a fusion between the Buddy deck and the Tyrannomon stuff, but I kept noticing that the Tyrannomon stuff wanted more Tyrannomons, whereas the Bunny stuff, and the Buddy stuff sometimes got in the way of that. So for example, I was playing Mega Gargamon Ace. If it's on our turn and we want to digivolve into a level 6, then are Tyrannomon inheritable, and the reduction cost for the BT14 one becomes completely negligible. No reduction of cost, no inheritable, so you can swing again. So I basically just thought, let's make level 6s all Tyrannomons. I'm going with a 4 Rust Tyrannomon Ace and 1 BT2 because I thought that would actually be interesting. I've never really played around that much with a BT2 card, but I think it could be really fun. I was toying with putting Rapidmon as well from the structure deck into this, but again, it kind of clashes with the BT14 Tyrannomon. So I think the highest we go bunny-wise is going to be the Rapidmon Gold and the Gargomon. But I think this could be a really fun list. It's got some consistency stuff because of the 4 copies of Agility Training and 4 copies of Double Typhoon. It possibly needs more Terriermons to make it really worth it. I'm not too sure. I do need to test that, but we'll find out, and at some point I'll definitely do a profile on Tyrannomon because Tyrannomon is my favourite green deck. I absolutely love it. Next up, this is another untested build, and one that has not appeared on the channel since Jank Tank 1, the very first Jank Tank series, and that is Okon Bond. So I've made some changes to this list versus when I brought it to Jank Tank some time ago. So, for example, we've got 3 copies of the EX4 Ogumon, and that is in there purely for that memory gain at the start of the turn. You know, we want as much memory gain as possible with this one. We've got the BT12 tie as well. I thought would be interesting because when we can gain memory when we're going into our Greymons in name. You know, we've got quite a few Greymons in the champion line. We've got a few in the level 5s as well. I mean, looking at this, I mean, this is very much a work in progress. I do wonder if I've got too low of a champion count. I think I've put 8 in this as opposed to what I would usually put, which is like 10. Obviously, there's a lot more rookies. So it's definitely going to need some testing and kind of go from there. But you know, hopefully it will work. If it doesn't work, I'll try something else. You know, it's kind of, this deck shares a lot of cards with some of my other decks, so it's kind of been on the back burner for a while, and probably will be for in BT16 too. To be honest, I may not touch it properly until BT17. Speaking of that, actually, there's a couple of decks I must mention as honourable mentions. Leopardmon and Digimon. I do have those decks as well, but I haven't made lists for those just because I've not been playing around with those at the moment. I do like Leopardmon though. I need to get back to Leopardmon. And Digimon's just my boy. I love him. Right, next list. So keeping with Greymon, this is the list that I'm most excited by at the moment because I am obviously Greymon stan, and this is my Red Raid War Greymon list. So I typically used to prefer Black War Greymon. I actually think Black War Greymon's having a really hard time in this current meta as well as the meta going forward into BT16. And it's purely because of, so in certain matchups it doesn't have enough stuff to stop wide boards. You know, Black War Greymon X can only delete one thing per turn with its you know, unsuspending effect. And then that effect also doesn't do too much against Magnamon X, because Magnamon X, you know, it will bypass the protection because Magnamon X will have run out of its protection. You reboot, and there you go. So long as you've been able to survive a swing or, you know, or something like that to get yourself suspended. But then it'll Armor Purge. They'll still have a Magnamon. They could just go back into Magnamon X. You know, so I think Black War Greymon X would be interesting. I still want to toy around with that. I think that'd be more of a black base build though, so something that maybe takes a few little links out of Jumbo Gamimon's book and forces them to attack at the start of turn, something like that. But as for the list in front of us, oh my boy, I'm having a lot of fun with this. So the aim of this one is to get as much DP as possible. It's very much looking like just a kind of a, you know, War Greymon OTK stuff. You know, with the ratios, you could definitely say that, you know, it's not quite there. It can OTK, but it's not like we've got 4 copies of ST1. The main change I have made to it, and I actually freaking love him in this, is the BT14 tie. So it's another red tamer that we can search for the office training, and it combos really well with War Greymon X, because War Greymon X will do its checks. If you've done multiple checks, it will gain multiple memory, and then you gain even more memory. Sorry, just slapped my phone. And now I'm dying. DU Digimon, Professionalism at its finest. Anyways, I really love the BT14 type because it makes us even bigger at the start of the turn. Like, this deck gets massive. I've gotten up to I think on average we're looking at 20k, 22k. I've gotten up to 25 before with this deck. You know, it just gets up to huge numbers. And I'm sorry, Magnamon X, there is nowhere in hell that you will be safe from my Wargreymon raiding into you. Nowhere. This is a really good anti-meta pick come next format. It will still struggle a bit against things like Numemon. We do have the 2 copies of Crimson Blaze covered by my beautiful face, you know, down in the top right, bottom right. But, you know, because obviously wide boards, stuff like that. But I think this has a better job of dealing with Numemon than Black Wargreymon does, just because of the fact that it can move faster, it's got more memory gain, it's cheaper to digivolve into things. That's one of my issues with Black Wargreymon at the moment, is everything is too expensive to go into. And I think specifically BT12 Wargreymon is really going to come into its own in the BT16 meta. I think it's going to be phenomenal. Next list. So this is my updated list for Titamon for BT16. It's basically just putting in the new Dark Animal stuff, so the Cerberusmon and the Dobemon, to make those a little bit more kind of useful, as well as also increasing our Cerberusmon X. So finally, I'm looking to get rid of the BT5 Black War Growlmons that have carried this deck since I built it. You know, so there's not really too many updates with this one. It's mainly just putting those things in, which gives us more access to kind of rush, and as you know, actually allows us to use the X antibody effects of our kind of other Dark Animal stuff from EX5. Next is my bird list for BT16. So I really want to try and get this deck good. Like, I friggin' love this deck. Phoenixmon X is one of the most exciting cards I have ever seen in terms of its effect. I hate the design, but in terms of its effect, I think Phoenixmon X is a really cool card. Like, the fact that it can basically turn all of its on-deletes, its own and its inheritables, into end of attacks is just so freaking good. You know, that means it can trash things, delete things, gain memory, it's just so good. And I really want to try it. A little tech I wanted to try in this as well, because I love him so much, is Marson. I know there were people in Japan that were doing BT14 Wargreymon, and that's a very cool idea. However, I want to try Marson because he can technically do more in terms of controlling the board, so he can swing twice into things, into like stuff like Numemon, or into you know, or can swing again into Magnamon X to clear it, you know, that sort of thing. You'll notice that I've mainly built things with them in mind. I've kind of forgotten any other decks exist, I'll be honest. I'm so scared of Numemon and Magnamon. They haunt my dreams. But I think it'll be an interesting tech in this deck. You know, the only issue compared to the BT14 Wargreymon is we have to build more to get into it. At least with the BT14 Wargreymon, if they've got something with 10k and one of our ties is out, we can warp the Ogumon into it. Speaking of that Ogumon, I do want to try the ST7 Ogumon in this. I know people were trying ST1 in Japan for the 1k boost. This is a 2k boost if you attack into a player. I just think that's better. We're not really aiming to swing over Digimon that much with this. We don't have piercing. You know, and that combos well with Marson as well, because Marson with the raid stuff declares into the player first and then switches target to a Digimon, so it will still gain that 2000 DP. I also want to try the Geogreymon in this, just to try and cheat out the tamers more. We do have, you know, a fair few tamers in this, so I definitely want to see how this list goes. Keeping on a similar mindset with this one, this is my update for Marson. Now, Marson is a deck which I've not really been playing since its grand victory in Jank Tank 3, but I really want to try and see if we can up the ante with it and make it into the just raiding, brawling, smashing machine that it could possibly be. You know, it gains a lot of DP from stuff like the ties, stuff from like the Grizzlymon. I did decide to omit Bearmon and put the Ogumon instead, just so we could potentially do the warp that I mentioned in the last list, off of Wargreymon from BT14. Basically, this is like a raid thing. I was talking to Alex actually about this this deck list in particular, and he said, and I agree, we so need something that's like, you know, searches for something with raid. We have the Biomons, you know, the Biomon can search a red card, the other one can search red vaccines, but it would be great if we had something that searched raid specifically, because then that would make the only inclusion for BT16 in this deck list, Lynxmon, searchable. Off of that, you know, more searchable. It's still searchable off the BT15 Biomon, because that card is amazing, but you know, it's not as searchable as you would like. But I think it could be a great inclusion in this deck. Come BT17, I'd really like to put in that new, I think it's update pack 24. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a Flame Digimon coming out, and he's really cool, and I think that would be a great inclusion in this deck as well. And just, yeah, all the raid shenanigans. I think it would be a really, really fun deck. And then the last deck we're looking at, this is the only new deck I'm looking to build in BT16. The only deck I'm looking to build from scratch is Shroud Mon. Now, I do have some doubts about doing it. I think it looks really fun. I love Shroud Mon as a design. He's a really cool Digimon. I love Pulsemon. He's such a cheeky little dude. You know, but I have my doubts because come BT17, when we switch to more of the Kazuchi stuff, the Kazuchi stuff seems to kind of go nowhere. And it doesn't seem like it gets equal treatment being able to go to Takumi Kazuchi as the Fenrir stuff will. I'd still like to try and give that a go. But I know it's not, you know, I know essentially if you want to play Takumi Kazuchi, you really should be playing Fenrir, really. But I want to give it a go. I think this is a really cool deck, has some great interactions. Shroud Mon has its own protection effects, you know, to get rid of security to survive. It could also recover if it is finally deleted, up to 3, which I think is cool. I did plonk Rapidmon from ST17 into this list just because the rookie line is all yellow and green, so that makes sense. And then all of the level 5s can digivolve off of yellow or green. You know, so that works too. So I think that could be a good inclusion. But that is all of the lists I'm looking to share today. Let me know if there's any other lists you want to see. Obviously, none of these are full profiles. If you want to see any full profiles for these, let me know, and we'll kind of get around to those at some point. Also, let me know if you want to see another profile like this, another player profile. It'll be in what one. I'd love to try and see if we can do it so that I can record the audio of one of the other players calling in, because some of the other players don't want to show their faces on camera just yet, and that is absolutely fine. You know, that, you know, I can't force them to do that, obviously. So you know, it's kind of early days for this sort of stuff. I want to definitely have more content with me saying hello. You know, I think a face, no matter how defilative it could be, is always going to be a good thing to just kind of help you guys put a face to the name or the voice or the flame. I don't know, but anyways, I hope you guys like this one. Let us know who you want to see next from the team, and also if you want to see any of these lists as deck profiles, and indeed any other requests as now. Join the Discord as well. Go watch Jank Tank 4. Jank Tank 5 will be coming out sometime in June. Just enjoy the channel. Like, subscribe, ding that notification bell, and we will see you again. But until next time, keep it digital.